Good afternoon, America, and welcome to Hope Springs Eternal. And today's topic is resilience. We're going to talk about how to acquire it, what happens, how do you acquire it after losing it, what happens if you've never had it, and how do you maintain it through turbulence. So we have with us a special guest. If you could please introduce yourself, Gabriel.
Yes, everyone. My name is Gabriel Valdez. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
And Gabriel, did you serve in the military?
Yes. Sorry. To elaborate, I'm still actively serving in the U.S. Army. I've got 9 years so far, and it's been the core of me and the center of everything that I've done to this day. So, um, I'm currently 40 years old, and that's pretty much what I've done recently as of late, close to the decade now.
Yeah, are you serving in the California National Guard? Are you part of the 40th Division there in Los Alamitos?
Yes, in the 40th Military Police Company in Los Alamitos. I just recently transferred out of that unit to another unit based out of Santa Ana, but um, my whole tenure in the Army, the National Guard, was with the 40th Military Police Company out of Los Alamitos. Yes.
So have you been part of the 40th? They've done quite a few deployments out of there. How many of those deployments have you been a part of?
I did a lot of state activations with them. As far as deployments or mobilizations, I did that once with another unit um, to Alaska, and I did 9 to 10 months at a missile defense complex there and served that time there. But outside of that, just a lot of state activations with the 40th, with the
Excellent,
riots and
excellent.
whatnot.
Yeah, they've had quite a few deployments, like you mentioned, the riots and
The
different
fires, and all that stuff.
fires, border security, all kinds of different things. So as we talk about resilience, I think we should start off by defining it. What is resilience? And if you look at the Webster's definition, resilience is the ability to adapt well to adversity, trauma, or significant stress, acting as a bounce back mechanism to recover from misfortune. So let's dive into that because there's a lot you can unpack with that. I think
Excuse me.
basically the way that we define life, how Life Aid and the work that we do in our nonprofit, we kind of define resilience as the ability to withstand the ebbs and flows of life. And when those ebbs and flows, especially the the valleys, the downside, the most stressful parts, do you quit or do you fight? Or do you do some combination of? And that's really what the essence of resilience is for us. How about for you, Gabriel? How do you
Resilience, that
define?
that word itself to me is arguably my favorite and my most strongest word, because I think it should be the core of everybody, everything. I think if you're alive in this world, I think you have to have some sort of resiliency, or some sort of level of resilience built in you. And if you don't have it, um, I think you have it anyways. You just don't want to either tell yourself, or you just don't want to see it. But we all have it. Even somebody that is, it's at a very low level, but I think even someone that is homeless, that's on the street, I think they even have some level of resiliency, because they're not, they're still alive. They still have life in them. So something in them, in their mind, is clicking and telling them to go on, to keep going. Whatever that keep going is for them, or for anybody, or for myself, it could be anything. It could be as simple as just getting up off of bed. putting on your shoes and moving one foot, next foot forward, and just keep going minute by minute. I used to plan things ahead many years ago and plan for next week and a month later. Now I just plan for the next 30 minutes, the next hour, the next meal, because those are the increments that I live my life by, because everything is not taken for granted. And I used to take life for granted, so, and time as well. But resiliency is like you said, either you fight or you quit. And fight and quit can mean a lot of things for many people. Um, it's a huge topic, and in retrospect, I think resiliency is something that everybody has and is fighting that same battle every day. It's just they don't either realize it or they don't want to, but it can be big or heavy for some.
No, I agree with all of that. I would also say that resilience is made up of different components, right? So I would say resilience is emotional or psychological. I would say that resilience is physical. I would also say that resilience is social. You know, how your support system and those kind of things. And then the last thing I would say is resilience is a reflection of your mindset. And I want to dive into that particular topic because that's something that we talk about a lot, especially with the app that I created, the LifeScore Health app. I believe that mindset is a really key component of how you react to adversity. I want to get Hector. If you can hear me, you can come off of mute, Hector. If you want to introduce yourself, love that. Maybe we don't have Hector. We just had Juan, but then we lost Juan. So hopefully we'll get Juan back. But when I created the LifeScore app, one of the key components that I came up with was looking at mindset and how do you as an individual deal with risk, fear, failure, happiness, identity, criticism, decision making. I think those are really important factors in how you approach life. And I think those things help give you some self-awareness so you can understand or better understand your strengths and weaknesses, and then help yourself in how you both interact with other people and the relationships that you have, and then also, you know, your own what you could call mental toughness or intestinal fortitude. Before we dive into that too much, we are now joined by Juan Rodriguez. If you want to introduce yourself, Juan, we are talking about resilience.
Oh, hi everybody. Juan Rodriguez. I am United States Navy veteran. I'm about to graduate from season, and I've been working or participating in this group with John for a good 2 years or so. And yeah, looking forward to meet everybody.
Excellent. Hector, you're back. Hopefully you can hear us. If you come off of mute and you want to introduce yourself, that would be great. If not, we'll continue on.
Yes, hello. Hi. I don't know if you can hear me, but yeah, this is Hector Perheda, U.S. Army. I did 7 years, and because there's a lot of noise here, I feel that resilience to me means having meaning, finding meaning in your life for the things that you do, the things that you say, and the things that you stand for. Having meaning, uh, to me, that's resilience. That's all I have to say about that right now.
All right. Well, that's good. We were having a little trouble with the early part of your sound, but we kind of caught the end of it. So one of the things that we've done in our group is we've been able to create this peer support, peer accountability, camaraderie, interaction, having a place where any veteran, whether they're active duty or retired, or if they're a first responder, we've created this group where people can come, they can post their thoughts, they can post their struggles, they can post whatever, as long as we don't talk politics, but we definitely talk life. And I feel like that peer support part has been one of the best parts in helping people build up their resilience. And since Juan, you've been in the program the longest of all the people here, I'd like you to start off on that part of it. Like, what role has peer support played in your level of resilience?
Well, yes, definitely. I think, well, when I met John, I was under, well, I'm still taking medication for depression, but I was taking a very high dose of Celexa. Um, I think to me, and sorry, I apologize. Like earlier, I didn't realize you were asking about resilience. But to me, like resilience is like finding something that keeps you going. Sometimes, um, and sometimes that's just hard to do. I understand that because there's been times where like nothing you can say or nothing you can think about is gonna give you the motivation to keep going. But I think that sometimes you just have to I see it as like looking out for yourself, you know. For a while, I felt like I didn't have no one in my corner. So for a while, it was like, well, my mindset was, well, if nobody's gonna take care of me, I'm gonna take care of myself. But then when I found the group, you know, I saw that there's other people that I felt like there was other people out there that had similar struggles or they had different struggles, and then you know it made me realize that because to me the biggest part was like, oh, like I'm the only one that's going through this and it's just me going through this. And then being in the group, having other peers and listening to others you know journeys made me realize like, well, I'm not the only one. There's other people out there that you know feel a similar way or maybe you know a different way. Sometimes even some of them were even worse, and made me feel like, oh well, maybe I'm making a bigger deal than it was. But also like speaking with other people, getting to know other people, because to me, I would isolate a lot, and you know kind of stepping out of that comfort zone of like, well, I'm safe here in my apartment, and you know, instead of going out, getting to know people, you know, connecting with people through, you know, even if it's through the military or that, you know, we're veterans or you know, even the Dodgers, you know, and also like, and I mentioned it before, like going to the Dodgers game is not just about seeing the Dodgers, but also like being around other people that you know, like well that I know that had same or similar struggles, and you know in my mind is I see it as if they're here then I can be here too, and that gonna help me you know a little bit move a little bit forward.
No, I think that, one of the main things we try to do, we always talk about, life is a participation sport. You got to get in the game.
Okay.
And whatever that looks like, if you're not in the game, you're not helping yourself. And I really feel like everybody struggles at some point in their life. Some struggle more than others, but everybody struggles. And how everybody deals with those struggles is different because it's based on you as an individual. So I'd like to ask Gabriel, you can talk about peer support, but also talk about like the last time you struggled a lot and what did you do to try to help you through that struggle?
Yes, of course. I I think it's a perfect example is every day, even up to this point. Um, to kind of caveat off of some points that Juan mentioned, um, and also some things that you said too, just hit home, and it's like it just clicked. Just hearing it from someone else, it just sounds different, but hearing you both say certain things, it's like kind of shifted the focal point and saw things differently. just by hearing it from other people. But like, for example, when you said just now, if you're not in the game, then that's what life's all about. I forgot verbatim how you said it, but you know, life's all about being a participant, being in it. And if you're not, then you're not going to receive the help or resources, and you're just completely out of it. Sounds cliche, but for myself, you know, when you said that, I agreed, and it's like I quickly told myself, well, I've been out of the game. I once was a certain person, and as time goes on, I chose to isolate myself. And like Juan referenced the metaphor for a corner, I chose to not have anybody in my corner when in reality I've been having the resources and the possibilities or the options to have a corner. But um I chose a different path subconsciously without knowing the dangers or how dark or how not lit the path is going to be, metaphorically speaking. But every day for me, as of late, has been like you touched up on earlier, as far as resiliency. What types of resiliencies are there, and mental and emotionally? But I think if you're mentally not right, or in the right spot, or in the right mindset, the rest just goes downhill. And um, what you look like and who you are on the outside is a huge 100% reflection of what your resiliency is, or what state your resiliency is at. And you can be someone that's just completely overweight now, when you once were going to the gym 2 or 3 times a day, and people knew you for someone that you were fit and you were always in shape, but now you're not. That could be also a reflection of what your mind is portraying on the inside. You just let go, like people say, you let go. So I myself have experienced each and every one of those avenues where, yeah, I've let go mentally, physically, and I've isolated myself from not having a corner and whatnot. So peer support is a huge thing, and I haven't been in this program, or um, exposed to this program that you have for as much as Juan has, but I'm glad that I have come across it. And now my journey that once was now kind of took a detour, and now I'm exposing myself, or allowing myself to take in these resources that have always been there. It's just my mindset wasn't allowing me to see these things. So my resiliency wasn't as strong as I'd want it to be. And um, thanks to a program like this, like yourself, with people that are involved in it, like that they are here, including individuals like Juan, and everybody else involved, you know, everybody adds their 2 cents, so to say, and it becomes one huge pillar or mountain of hope for many, even if they don't speak about it.
No, 100%. I mean, I think, you know, you talked a lot about isolation, and that's really the thing that we try to attack, if you will. It's one of the single biggest drivers. I haven't seen too many people who isolate and go even deeper isolation that actually, you know, what gets them out of that, what breaks the cycle is when you get out. And I just use the metaphor, you know, life is a participation sport, and you got to get in the game. And if you're isolating, you're not in the game. And so that's really kind of a key phrase that we try to utilize. And then, you know, like I said, we try to plan all these activities, whether it's going to sporting events, Dodgers, Kings, Rams, Chargers. We do the bike boat barbecue. We're going to do some special things around Armed Services Day, because May is Military Appreciation Month. So we're going to have our first ever Life Aid softball tournament. So we're going to have the service branches playing each other with a group of transition aged kids, you know, who also is a demographic group that has a lot of the same struggles and a lot of the same issues that the veterans have. So I thought it would be a good dynamic. So hopefully it goes well. It's our first ever. And yeah, onward and upward. Hector, how about you? what kind of struggles have you had lately, and how did you pull yourself out? He's still, if you can hear us, Hector, you're on mute. Well, all right. We don't have Hector. We'll come back to Hector. When you're ready, Hector, just come off mute, and then I'll know you're ready to go. So Juan, talk a little bit about mindset. And I know that you've downloaded the app, the LifeScore app, and how has that app helped you, or has it helped you in just dealing with life and just the general ups and downs of life?
To me, what I liked the most about the app was that I'm always a person that likes to be like, I like to have accountability. So so the app always what I like the most is like that it was, oh, did you do this? Did you exercise? Did you eat right? Did you pray? Did you, did you talk to other people? And I feel like that helped me accountable, and just to myself, and you know the little social aspect that it has too, where you can post your thoughts, and to me, felt like a safe place to just say whatever was on my mind. um and that's how, and also the eating part too, because it's good, like Gabriel mentioned, like eating is a big part also of your whole wellness, not just like physical but mental too, because if your gut is not healthy, your mind's not going to be healthy. um, so is struggling with depression and anxiety is already hard as it is on the brain. So if you can help your brain a little bit and give it a little help, I feel like it'll go a long way. Um, and I think like one of the biggest, um, and I saw this. I got this from one of my favorite shows, which is The Office, and I forget what happens, but the manager, which is Steve Carroll, he like fails at something, and he's like feeling really down, and he's like really sad, and but he's like, well, that's the beauty of living in America. You get to wake up the next day and try again. So that really stuck with me, and where some days I felt like I had like I even get emotional right now, just like thinking about it. Like I felt like there was no out, no way out. Like I just felt that I was never gonna move forward. But then, just thinking about it that way, getting my mind in that mentality of like, well, at least I get to wake up tomorrow and try again. And if I didn't do something right today, or I felt like, I felt like crap today, like, well, tomorrow I get to try again. And that mindset, and along with the with going out with meeting other people, and just being outside, like sometimes, like, and my wife is like a big part of this too, because like she would also see me like that I would get in this isolation mindsets, and sometimes she would be just like, just get out, like just she was like, you don't need to talk to anybody, like you just have to be around people, and then just feel like you're not the only person out there. And I think that also helped me a little bit.
Yeah. So you touched on something. You brought up spiritual, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about that. Because spiritual could be different things to different people. Spiritualness doesn't necessarily mean you go to church every Sunday or Saturday or whatever day, or that you even go to organized religion at all. Spiritualness can be about just, what is your belief system? Do you believe in something greater than yourself? Or what is your sense of purpose? Like, where do you feel like you fit into the universe? Or emotional intelligence, where how are you perceived? How do you perceive others? And how do you think people perceive you? So there's that sort of spiritualness, Some people kind of get into mindfulness, like meditation or yoga. So Gabriel, I'll throw it to you, and what's your level? What is your definition of spiritualness, and how do you practice it?
As of late, and I say as of late, maybe in the last 5, 7 years, spiritualness and beliefs after that, or following with that, I would say for me, it has been believing in something greater than myself. Now, one would be God, following God, and just believing that God or another person or something greater than myself has a better plan for myself. Just trusting that, like Juan said, waking up another day and having a new crack at the day again, a new opportunity. Um, Believing that everything's gonna be okay, as cliche as that may sound, but just trusting that everything happens for a reason and a good outcome will come. Even if we don't like how great it is, but at least it's a better outcome than what the current state that we were in yesterday. And it's all baby steps, but to not deviate, it would have to be just believing in something greater than myself. And by that, also, I want to elaborate and say, not living in my own thoughts and believing what I want to believe myself, or what I want to tell myself to believe in, as far as creating um, my own outcome. Because a lot of times, what I wanted didn't happen. So I just ended up just letting that go and believe that what's out of my control is not in my control. So I'm not gonna worry about controlling something that's out of my reach. And that's when I just started trusting in something greater than myself, and believing that I myself, and I think in to some degree in general, many people aren't in control of their outcome. We can manifest it and we can speak it into existence, but I think everything happens for a reason, and we just have to, the least or the most we can do as a person is do what nobody else can do, not even God, which is eat right, choose to do the right things, be a good person, say hello, be kind. It's, one thing that I see a lot is kindness is really not existent anymore. I couldn't tell you the last time I went out in a public space on the street and someone said hello to me as we crossed paths. But I would go to a different city or another state, and it would be the opposite. People couldn't stop saying hello to each other, and people were kind. So I think it all comes down to what we can do for ourselves first, and then after that, just trusting that everything will be okay, because we're at least doing the right thing. And even if we're doing the right thing and things don't pan out the way we wanted to, that doesn't mean that we need to change things and maybe not believe in God, or just go, or whatever system we had in place for our beliefs, we have to change that. No, we just have to just keep trusting that things will turn out good. We just got to do better.
So what role do you think social awareness plays?
Social awareness is huge. I suffer from that right now a lot. I've noticed that my um, social skills have plummeted big time. I I still am. I still believe that I am inside of me, but now, and I say now as in like the last 3 years or so, I step out. I go to a Dodger game. I've gone to Dodger games by myself. I go out to sports bars to watch my favorite sport teams play. I go out by myself. I do it by myself, and it feels so awkward, but I've come to accept it. Like Juan said, just at least being out there and being exposed to these people is not so bad. It would be great if there was social connection and there was that interaction, but for me at least personally, it's not there. So it's a huge thing for me, because I wish it was, or I wish there was a connection. It's just something that I got to work on, and it's something that comes with me. I can't that's not something that like my spiritual belief is gonna come into play where God, for example, is gonna change that for me. It's something that I gotta work on. But social interaction for me is a huge one. And I'm not saying it in the sense of being the life of the party, but just being mentally cleansed and being able to just interact with another individual and have any kind of quality conversation. But I personally feel like I can't because I feel like I have so much weight on my rucksack that, I have to, I can't ignore the weight that I have on my back. It's like, if I meet someone or if I interact with someone in public, it's like in my head, it's like, hold on, let me unpack some things because there's a little heavy on my back. I'll get to you in a second, kind of thing. And it's been like that mentally for years now.
Yeah, I would say those are two things wrapped into one. So one is social awareness, which could be what is your ability to pick up on other people's emotions, understand where they're coming from, have some understanding, or empathy is a word that's popular right now. And then the other side is relationship management, which is using awareness to develop, maintain, manage a healthy relationship, having positive interactions with someone, that sort of thing. And I think those are big components of emotional intelligence. Like I was mentioning before, how do you perceive others? How do others perceive you? And your self-awareness to recognize the difference between those two things. So we have a new person that just joined us, so we're going to bring her in. Nina, if you would please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Nina Maddock. And right now I'm living in Brentwood Glen, but I lived in Pacific Palisades in the Alphabet Streets. And I was just, I've seen you post a lot about the tickets and I know you have an attraction to sports, and I'm a kind of a sports fan, as you can see from my New York Giants, and thought you guys would be talking about the draft as well. But I was curious about what this was all about. So that's why I'm here. I'm taking a break because I'm getting ready for a fundraiser for Spencer Pratt tonight at my house. So
I'll give them my best.
I will.
So yeah, we're talking about resilience. So,
Yeah.
those of you that from the Palisades, the reason I post a lot in that group because that group has, I got connected with them through Larry Vane, and we were trying to help out with some of the residents because obviously you guys have been, the Webster's definition of resilience and having to deal with losing your home, trying to rebuild your home, trying to deal with government bureaucracy, trying to keep the families together, trying to figure out where you're going to live, figure out where you get your income, like all these different like super complex things. And so I felt like the struggles and the emotions and all the things that you're dealing with are very relatable to our group of military veterans. And so I like to include different types of people from different backgrounds that have similar struggles or similar interests or similar journeys ahead. And that's why I've included you guys in the group. And we've had a lot of them, especially the ones with kids, going to the different games and sporting events and things, because it's a helpful, and I think it's good for them to meet the veterans and especially guys like Gabriel and Juan who have had deployments and been away from families and dealing with struggle and all that sort of thing. So we are going to talk about the draft here in a little bit. So because sports is a great unifier, and I use a lot of anecdotes and different things around sports. I was a college football player. I was a professional cyclist. So I've been around sports my whole life. And I think that sports plays a big role in people that participate in sports. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to participate. Like, it's just like my you missed my early slogan, but I say life is a participation sport, and
Yes.
you got to get in the game.
Right.
You
Yeah.
never advance if you're not on the field. So I
Yeah.
think that really applies to life.
Well, I just want to say at the get-go how much I appreciate what Gabrielle and Juan and all of our vets have done to take care of us and, you know, help us. And I just really am very, very thankful for all of you and everything that you've done. Oh, everything that you guys have done. I don't know. Had another call coming in. Sorry about this. But you know, everything that you've done, I really, really appreciated that. And you know, like as I always say, whenever I see someone in a military uniform, thank you for your service. And the thing about resilience, I will say, having experienced the loss of our home and after the fires and trying to get back, and I have two kids, two young kids, even though I'm older. I have a 17-year-old who's going into who's going into her senior year in high school, and a 10-year-old son. And we're married. You know, I have a husband who is a real estate lawyer. It's in waves. I'm sure Gabrielle and Juan can understand this, but how you feel and how you deal with issues and problems and how you be resilient, it comes in waves. Some days you don't want to get out of bed. And other days it's like, okay, I can do this. And what I try to do to get me through the hard times is in the days when I have energy and I feel like I can attack things, I try to do as much as I can and really power through. And then when the hard times come, I try to be gentle with myself and reach out to the people around me, including my husband and friends, and say, look, I need a little bit of time by myself just to either walk or have a cup of coffee, you know, or a couple extra minutes, and trying to, you know, do that in order to, you know, fill my cup again so I can be resilient. Plus, the other thing that I find is if I'm helping other people, you know, and not thinking about as myself as much. So like I'm very active in the community. I know Larry, I worked with him when he was still, you know, involved in our community, but I'm active in the community recovery coalition. I'm dealing with that now. You know, to help the Palisades, I'm trying to work with the federal government to get us more money, a variety of things. When I'm doing for others, that helps me as well. So these are like the things that I try to do, but and as well as taking advantage of when you've got a group like this, being able to reach out and see, you know, and be there to hear other people's struggles and, you know, just know that you're not the only one. And, you know, there are a lot of things to be grateful for. So that's kind of where I'm at.
No, that a lot of what you said resonates with me. I know that I might be having a really crappy day, and then one of the vets will reach out on the chat group and need help or need something, and you know, being able to help those folks out helps me. You know, helps pull me out of that. Like maybe I'm having a negative mind day and a lot of negativity going on around me, and it's like, you know, life is beating you down, and then all of a sudden you'll get a message from a Juan or a Gabriel or a Hector or somebody, and they'll need your help, and then by helping them, it helps pull you out of that negativity. Go ahead, Gabriel. You were going to say something.
No, I was sorry. I was just fixing my pants, sir. No, I didn't mean to insinuate I was going to interrupt or anything. I mean, I got plenty to say, but
Well, go
letting
ahead.
you guys,
That's why we're
letting you
here.
guys speak.
We're not necessarily here to listen to me talk as much as just everybody have a chance. So go ahead.
Well, it's my first time doing this, so I'm just applying common sense and just, you know, letting everybody speak and whatnot. And then if my name is called, then I'll speak. But first of all, Ms. Maddock, thank you for that. Like I tell everybody whenever they thank me for anything that I do for wearing the uniform, I'm just reading the book, you know, real not to disrespect anybody now, but and I don't mean to disrespect at all with this, but um, I believe the people that served in World War I, World War II, and whatnot, to not discredit any recent combats or events, but it's just those were some tough times. So when I see a vet that's still alive today that went through those eras, it's just a different type of admiration and whatnot, so on, so to speak. But myself, I'm just reading the book that they wrote. I'm not rewriting anything. I'm just following in their steps. But um, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And going on to what you have said, John. Me myself personally, for many years, I have lived in this under a rock or a shadow that I've chosen to live under, and like you've mentioned, perceived people for what they're living or how they're living and how they're enjoying their time on this earth, whether it's that evening or that day. Just seeing people live and seeing people do what they do, and whether they're happy or not, but just people watching, whether it's through my phone on social media or out in public. Even right now as we speak, being outdoors and just seeing people walk. I'm in a local park that's close to my home, but just seeing people out and about walking their dog and running, just being, like you said, a participant in life. They're not choosing to stay at home or be indoors, but they're choosing to be out here, and whether it's walking or running or whatever, for whatever reason, they're doing it. And I'm sure that's triggering something in their mind to be positive and proactive and start creating positive habits. For myself, it's not the case, and it's been a self-inflicted um, regimen where I'm not making these choices like most people are, to be out or active or social. Um, and I've steered away from who I once was a couple years ago. And at this point in time today, I don't like who I've become as I'm living in it today as we speak. But I'm aware that I've deviated from the person that I once was, and um, I reiterate, being exposed to a program like this, and people like Juan and Miss Maddock and anybody else that's a participant, veteran or not, but they they all have something to contribute. And like you said, John, if you're having a crappy day, um, you can distract yourself from that by exchanging that that feeling for something that's gonna fill it up with positivity or joy, because you helped out someone else with something that they needed, and to feel that you helped one person out with something that they needed, which they needed immensely. I can understand and see how that changes your mood or your day, and it just makes for a better moment or a quality of life. But um, in general, resilience is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. I'm a black and white person. Either you want it or you don't. Either you have it or you don't. And resiliency, it's either you have it or you don't. If you have it, great. Maintaining it is a hard thing. Not having it is a hard thing as well. It's even harder, but it doesn't mean that you're out of the game.
But
Um,
but but can't you say you either have it or you don't? Sorry for interrupting.
yes,
You
go
say
ahead.
you have it. You say you either have it or you don't. But don't you think resilience is a skill that you can work at?
Of course, of course. Um, it could be like the I hope I'm saying it right. I'm pronouncing it, or I'm referring to it correctly. The wick of a candle, when it's not lit, that could be metaphorically a form of resiliency. The wick is there. You just got to light it. Um, and lighting it could be many things for many people. It could be being a part of this group. for some people. This could be the fire that lights their wick. Hearing Miss Maddock or Juan talk, that could be another little small step forward to lighting that wick and get things going for people. But yes, I agree. I agree that it's something that you can work at and build on, of course.
So we have another guest that just joined. Liz, if you could unmute and introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hey, good afternoon. Liz Garcia, about to retire from the Navy, 26 years. And I got into the group by Mary when I was doing my survivor benefit stuff. She saw me wearing my Dodger hoodie. And so I've been following very closely. It's a tough transition. I just started Terminal yesterday, and so everything that I can get from this group, definitely, there's so much unknown that it's a big mixture of emotions right now, and it probably won't hit me until it's actually 30 June, and it comes to July 1st, and I'm officially done. But I appreciate everything that everyone does in this group. All the feedback, all the messages and everything, all the resources. It's insane how much resources are out there that we actually don't even know, even after doing 26 years. I learn something new every single day, but I appreciate everything everyone does.
No, I have a lot of things that are like we can call them JW isms, if you will. Just my own sort of expressions of things that I think apply to life. And one of them is finding people to help is not the problem. There's always people that need help. And then secondly, on the resource piece, there's so many resources out there and so many fragmented resources out there that it makes it very, very difficult for people to find the resource they need. That's one of the reasons why I created my app, so that based on your score and how your life, how you answer the questions, it gives resources directly to you specifically that you need. And it helps because if you go to a lot of resource websites, they're so overwhelming. It makes it very, like Military One Source is a great example. They spent, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars coming up with that website. And there's a bunch of great resources, but it's because there's so many resources, it makes it really very difficult to find what you need. And so that's why I was really appreciative of Juan sort of taking the bull by the horns and trying to, like, even the guys that work at the VA in our group that post resources, like being able to categorize those in a simple format, so it's very user friendly, so it makes it fast and easy to find what you're looking for. It's really important to do that so that people can get the help they need when they need it and not when it's too late. So I'm sure, Nina, that's something that resonates with you, with all the different resources and people, all the Johnny do-gooders coming out of the woodwork that want to try to help the people in Altadena and the Palisades.
Yeah. Can you hear me, by the way? I switched to my computer to make it easier. Yeah, that does. You really have to sort of rely on the people that you can rely on, and some people are just talking and other people will actually follow through, and those are the people that you need to, those are the people you need to lean on. So does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's well-intentioned people that want to help, but maybe they're not actually good at it, or maybe they don't really know what to do. That was my concern when I started my program. Like, I'm a little bit of an outsider. You know, I had a little bit of taste of the military life, but I mean, I was asked to help out. And I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to be perceived by the people you're trying to help. Like, will they take it seriously? Because veterans are very close knit or closed knit group of people. Like, they don't necessarily warmly embrace outsiders, but I had a different way of approaching them than I guess others. I'm just direct, and I talk to them as people, and just try to say, hey, can I help you? What do you need help with? And if I can help them, I say I can help you. And if I can't help you, I say I can't help you. And I think like that, just straightforwardness helps a lot. Like, I'm not trying to run for political office or anything like that. So we don't do any cancel culture or any of that kind of crap around here. We just speak. People can speak their mind, not be judged, and just put out there what they're feeling, so that we can help them. Is that about right, Juan?
That sounds extremely right.
As
No,
a
definitely.
as a senior citizen of this group.
Yes, and no, and you know what, like the space that you have created for us, John, it's like really, I'm really grateful for that. Because yeah, often, and this happened to me like probably in the first few years when I got out, I just felt like I would go to jobs and I just felt like I just wasn't fitting in, or like I just felt that I had nothing in common with like other people. And I also, you know, like I don't have any like friends, you know, like I've known people, and I guess my closest friend right now is John. But yeah, like I don't have like, you know, and I think that creates like a little bit of a vicious cycle, right? Like I don't have any friends, and then that means I can't socialize, and then you know you keep going in that cycle. But I don't know yet, like having this space where I can just be myself, and like I just know like I mean, even if they judge me, like I don't care, you know, like I'm part of this group, you know, I'm doing this for me, you know, and if you know, like I'm just trying to be as respectful as I can, obviously. Um, but yeah, like I think that this space that you created for us, John, it's really great, and it has helped out to me. It has helped me out a lot, personally. Um, and yeah, I think that's, and also like your perspective too of like something that always gonna stood out is like the first time we met at the Dodgers game, there was this two guys standing in front of us, and then you just kind of like kicked them a little bit, and you're like, hey, get out of the way. and, I was like, wow, I was like, I wish I could do that. You know. And that also has, you know, helped me build my self-confidence too, like, you know, little by little. And yeah, so I'm really grateful for that, John. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just think people want to try to be themselves or try to figure out who they are as a person.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody struggles with stuff, and I just feel like I don't like having a lot of rules. So I have basic rules. One, you got to have a heartbeat in order to be part of the group, right? It's hard if you don't have a heartbeat. I think you got to be on time, you know, be respectful of time. Time is the most valuable resource. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. And then the last one is be respectful of one another. And, you know, kind of like the golden rule, you know, treat others how you'd like to be treated type of thing, I think is important. And, you know, we have a lot of different diverse personalities, as all you guys are aware. We have a huge, vast, both in terms of age, both in terms of life experience and service to the country, or whatever life experience, or health history, or whatever people bring to the table. And you know, just trying to find a place where everybody feels welcome. And, people come, people drop out. All of you got here by word of mouth, which is kind of awesome when you think about it. I don't really advertise. I just here we are, and everybody can join.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Because I got connected because I was participating in another program. I think it's more of an organization. It's called BPAN. Um, and they just sent me an email. They were like, oh, they're looking for volunteers for the 4th of July flag at the Dodger Stadium. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And ever since then, I've just been part of the group, and it's never left. And that was a big part that, like, it felt like a very open group. And yeah, I think that was very that is very valuable to me.
Real quick to speak on that, I've always wanted to do that. It doesn't matter for what game or what stadium, but just to be one of those guys, like, I kind of felt jealous. It's like, man, how come those people are down there, holding the flag and whatnot? I want to do that. What do they know that I don't know? Like
They
who
know
do they talk
JW.
to? I was like,
You know, John.
who did they talk to? I was like, I'm not talking to the right people, but just to be down there, just to be down there along with the person to the left and the right, just holding that flag and moving it like that. It's just for patriotism. It's not so much to be the center of attention, but to kind of connect it with what we're talking about today. I think it's also kind of cool to, for me personally at least, talking about social awareness and all that in a metaphorical way. For me personally, it would be cool to not only express that patriotism by being a part of that event for those few minutes, but to ironically be in the center of the attention, which is not something common for me, but it'd be kind of cool to get out of the darkness and be in the spotlight, if you will, even if they don't know who I am. But for me personally, spiritually, but
it's a great thing. I mean, it's a lot of work, as guys that can tell you, but it's really, the camaraderie is just like when you were in the military. The star of the show is not you. The star of the show is the flag, and that's what makes it cool, because you get to do it together and you get to have that shared experience. I think shared experience, whether it's good or bad, like, having a group of homeowners whose everybody's house burned down gives you a shared experience. Sorry, Nina, but you got to build off of that, right? So that's really part of life, is like, okay, now what? Life goes on. How are we going to make the best of it?
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I was, like when this podcast started, I mentioned one of the state activations was obviously something that catastrophically happened here in this state, which in my 40 years of life, I've never experienced something like that. Sure, we have fires and we're known to have fires in this state, but for me personally, this was a first, and I hope it'll be the last time I ever see something like that. But that was bad. The Palisades fires and all that stuff. It's not only unfortunate, but very sad to see that it lasted that long. And it's just from one human to another, that without getting political, that was allowed like that. I've never seen a whole cities just wiped off like that. It's a very sensitive topic, but one thing I also saw was the togetherness. I saw homeowners out there still, after the fact, and it was just surreal. It's something I felt like I was in another country in a combat zone, like just seeing land, just like if just something came and hit it and just wiped it out, and you see survivors and whatnot still walking around, and it's just like, man, like, this is real stuff. And that's to touch up on why we're here talking today, I saw resiliency in them too, and even to this day, way after the fact that this event happened, but I I I will never shy away from that word, because I think, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, resiliency is, I think it should be the core of everybody.
You know, disaster is disaster, whether it's caused by a fire or an earthquake or bombs, or, you know, I think about war zones that I've seen and how just, you know, everything is destroyed. And what I came away with after the fire was, you know, I had my family around me, and it's just stuff, even though it's important stuff. And, you know, the stuff like, you know, my wedding album and pictures with the Pope and, you know, things that I can't replace. I still have those memories, and I have to hold on to those. And in some way, you know, not having stuff is kind of freeing. It's like, you know, and I think about, you know, before the fires, I volunteered with our Pacific Palisades Task Force on Homelessness. And one thing that you were talking about, Gabriel, earlier about communicating with people, and John too, is I just found in dealing with anyone who's going through something, the best thing I could do is just listen and listen to them and not make assumptions about what they're dealing with, what their issues are, what their problems are, how they're feeling. Just really, really listen and ask leading questions. And that helped me a lot with that. And I'm trying to do the same thing now, but you're right. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. But it's hard for all of us. So I'm not, you know, I'm not unique. I'm not alone. We all have our stuff. And that's why, you know, this is so great that John has a group like this, that, you know, people can actually, you know, share if they need to, or just listen and go, wow, you know, that's a perspective I hadn't thought about before. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate, you know, listening.
No, I think having people come on the podcast and participate is therapeutic.
Yeah.
I'll leave that for you guys to decide, but I would think it would be. Hector or Liz, if you guys want to join in, all you have to do is unmute and chime in whatever you want.
Hey, John, you know, just like those shirts, or, you know, that slogan we once saw, I don't think it's around much anymore. It's probably played out, but, you know, that shirt where it says "Got Milk," that just a simple slogan on the T-shirt, "Got Milk." Should have "Got JW" shirts with QR codes on them that will bring them to the program. Hey, someone's gonna scan it. I promise you, someone's gonna scan it in public.
Oh,
What's
I
that?
don't mind the QR code. I just wouldn't say "Got JW." I don't like putting my name. As Josh, my podcast producer, can tell you, I don't like putting myself front and center, even though that's part of the job. I like putting you guys front and center. We can have a picture of you and Juan, and got buddies or something, and with a QR code.
That works.
I'd be happy with that. I just like that people, like, to me, the one thing that tells me that we're doing the right thing is, one, we continue to grow. People want to join, and then when people join, they talk about how comfortable and welcoming the environment is. And that's because of you guys. It's not because of me. It's because the whole group as a whole, you know, is welcoming. And when someone joins the group, I always say, hey, you got to introduce yourself. And then everybody chimes in. And, you know, if they're in the Air Force, we make fun of them. You know, that sort of thing. You know, we make it, I think it should be fun, but also, you know, understanding there is a serious undertone to everything that we do. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I mean, the group, I'm sorry, we're walking. This is my relaxing time as I'm doing my walking, looking at the roses. Very soothing. You know, the group is so welcoming. I I feel this is gonna be very instrumental in my transition. Just because I know that I'm not alone. I know there's been, everyone in the group has been in my shoes at one point or another, whether it was through retirement or just getting out at whatever time they did. But that the transition, I don't think nobody prepares you, and it's hard. Like I can be the toughest person on earth, but it's actually hard.
No, it is hard. And like you said, there's a lot of people, probably hundreds of people in the group that have gone through what you're going through, but it's still, you still got to go through it, right? That's what makes it hard, right? Is you can have all the support in the world, but you still got to be the one that makes the decisions, signs your name on the line, and all those kind of things. So at the end of the day, you are your own caretaker. But just know that there's plenty of people that are here to help sort of flatten out that learning curve that you're going through, so it's not so steep or it doesn't seem so daunting. That's where I think we as a group really help out, is flattening out the learning curve and being there to pick you up when you stumble or fall or whatever setbacks you might have. Like there's always someone that might have the answer to whatever you're struggling with. And when it comes to disability ratings, benefits that you're entitled to, or appealing those things, I have a person on my team that is an expert at that. So feel free to ping me if that need is there for you.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I'm still waiting. So we'll see. And yeah, and that's why not just because I'm a big Dodger fan, but when Mary spoke to me, I think everything just it fell in place to be part of this group, because I know that I'm going to need a group like this from not just even the transitioning and everything else, but in life. I think this is actually what's positive, what keeps you going. And I wanted to surround myself by positivity, by people who uplift you. And this is a perfect group.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, I work hard to make it as welcoming as I can. I mean, the Dodger game is a perfect metaphor for the whole thing. So we get 50 tickets for each of the games that we get assigned to. And typically we have between 400 and 800 ticket requests for those 50. And so I try to do the best I can to sort of spread it out so everybody gets to go to at least one game a year. Sometimes, more than that. People get frustrated because we've only had 2 games so far this year, maybe 3. And so some people haven't been picked yet. And I'm like, patience, grasshopper. There's a lot of people trying to get tickets to these games. I do the best I can, and I'm not going to satisfy everybody. There are other special games, like when we do the flag, we do military appreciation. We're going to do something for 4th of July where we can involve a lot more people, where it's more like in the hundreds. But I don't really have control. I don't work for the Dodgers. So I try to just cautiously remind people that there's one of me and there's 400 or 500 of you, and just remember that proportionality.
Yeah, definitely. And also for the transition part, I understand that, because when I got out, I just, I don't know, I don't know if it was my command or what, but I got out and it just felt like, hey, you're out. There you go. You're on your own. or because I didn't retire, I just served my term and then I got out. So I don't know if that was the difference or not, but like for a while, I felt like there was nothing out there for me. So yeah, definitely, like if you need help with any resources or any questions or what to do, yeah, definitely ask in the chat. And there's a lot of people that are gonna chime in, and they either gone through it or they know people, or they'll connect you to the right resource.
Yeah, and Mary's great. I mean, I've been working with her for a while. She's great. There's a group of guys that work at the West LA VA that are pretty active in the group. You'll have all the support you need, which I'm sure you've already figured out. And so, yeah, and I know for you, Nina, that Larry tried to do the same sort of thing for the Palisades, and you know, he gets a lot of criticism too, which is kind of funny. I sit there and I listen and I watch people and I'm like, man, how ungrateful are some of those people? It's like the guy's busting his ass trying to help you. At least he's trying to do something positive. You're on mute, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. You know, everybody has something to give. Everybody has something to give, and you just have to take people where they are. And when they graciously offer part of themselves, you know, say, accept it and say thank you. And you know, uh, whether you know, with Liz with her retirement, and Juan when you know, him getting out, transitions are hard. Transitions are just hard. You know, us not going from living in the same house for 25 years to not having a home at all. And now we've been in one place, it's a great place for a year. And now you know, we can't really afford it until our house is finished. Our house won't be finished until at least at the earliest a year from December, or a year from August. I'm sorry, a year from August. And
Do you have a permit?
we just finalized our plans because we started with one developer and then we switched to another custom because it figured it was going to be cheaper, but we just finalized our plans. So now we're just going into getting our permits now. And it still takes, you know, 110 days, 3 months, a little over 3 months just to get your permits when you go through plan check and everything like that. So, I mean, at the beginning, there were people that I know, like a guy who's almost done with his house. It only took him 6 weeks, but then he had 10 weeks. He had to wait for a grading permit. So, you know, it just depends, but it's still, you know, and we moved into this house and we agreed to a rent for a year, and, you know, our money is running out for that insurance money to pay for that. So we've got to move, unfortunately. And, you know, that's stressful too.
Oh yeah. No, I think when I
Transition.
ride my bike through the Palisades, I'm just amazed at how few houses are being rebuilt still, and like what's taking so long. You ride along Pacific Coast Highway and there's virtually no new construction going on. And we're coming up on a year and a half since the fire. And I just don't, I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, you know, there's all kinds of reasons for it taking a long time, you know, in unincorporated, you know, this getting into the weeds, but in unincorporated Malibu, and which is not city of Los Angeles, they have, you know, special, you know, different requirements. They have to go through different hoops. Anybody who's on a hillside or has to deal with like the, you know, the rock wall along PCH, that's, you know, extra hoops that you have to go through. You know, in our case, it was just because we couldn't find the right fit. So that was more had to do with us. You know, so it's just everybody has a story about why it's taking longer. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, you know, they're looking at this summer running out of money. So as you watch what happens in the Palisades and in Altadena, you're going to see a lot more movement with people selling their lots, being out on the streets looking for housing, more, you know, just struggling. Lots more struggles in the next 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, it's going to
4
be
months.
really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see. And again, we don't like to be political, but this happens to be political for you. Is like we have a mayor's election coming up, we have a city council election coming up, and seeing how the people of Palisades vote. I'm just fascinated. I'm not going to say anything about any candidates, but it's just going to be interesting to see how the people in Altadena and the Palisades vote. I guess Palisades or Altadena, it doesn't necessarily vote for the city of Los Angeles mayor, but there's still like elections going on with these folks, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
And honestly, I think in having done so much work with these politicians, I think a lot of them are hamstrung based on what's happened before. They're kind of they've never had to deal with a big, disaster. They've never had to deal with making big decisions. They haven't, they're not really proactive. They're more reactive. Like for example, I just brought up what's going to happen, and this is so stupid, but it's like, what's going to happen with the parking in the Palisades? They took all the parking meters out of the Palisades, and there's no parking restrictions, and there haven't been up there. But when Mr. Caruso reopens his big mall, chances are the city of Los Angeles is going to want to put those meters back in. And I raised it with the mayor's office, said, you need to let people know ahead of time when the meters are going to go in. Is there going to be an increase? Are they going to cost more? Are the times on those meters going to be the same? Are they going to be different? Are you going to stagger them when they go in? And what are we going to do about all of those, food vendors who are cooking? It's just, so there's just all these things that they just don't think about. And they just are similar to homeowners. They're having a hard time sort of getting their feet under them to make decisions and do what's best for their communities. And so it'll be interesting to see what people do. And I'm not making.
Well, no, human nature is undefeated. So I think it's going to be very interesting how it all plays out. I said that's another one of my JW-isms is human nature is undefeated. You can predict what the outcome is going to be based on human nature, and especially different people who have, like we talked about before you got on the call, we were talking about mindset and how people deal with risk, fear, failure, criticism, identity, happiness. Those kind of things matter. And so fear and risk are two things that you can predict. That's what makes people make bad decisions, right? Because they're on the wrong side of fear and risk.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they say. Yeah.
So I know we're like way over time, but this discussion's been awesome. So I did promise everybody that we would talk about the NFL draft coming up in just a couple of hours. I think less than 3. Nina, you have a New York Giants.
I do.
They have 2 picks in the top 10. What is your prediction on which way are they going to go with those picks, or which way do you want them to go?
Well, I think that they're going to take this Downs guy. I think that's his name.
Caleb Downs. Yep.
Either him or Stacy. Who's the other guy? Daryl Stacy. I can't remember.
Styles, Sonny Styles.
Yeah, Darren Styles. Yeah. So those are the 2 guys that keep running in my chats. But I also heard something intriguing. Somebody thought that they might trade the 10th pick to go up and pick up the 6th pick so that they have 5 and 6. The 6th pick, I think the 6th pick, who has that?
Our 6 picks is the Browns.
Yeah. So they talked about maybe going up and pick up the 6 picks from the Browns and trading away the 37th pick from the 2nd round. And that way they could have 2 picks in a row. But I'm not sure. you know, we've got to get somebody on the inside to replace Dexter Lawrence. We need, you know, we need an right tackle. We don't have a decent right tackle. You know, our left tackle has started to get hurt. You know, the center is sort of iffy. I mean, the line has started to come together again, but it, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Their track record is so bad, you know, and has been so bad for so long that, you know, I've been a
Well,
fight. I was for 60 years. Since I was 5 years old, and I just, you know, lots of worse times than good times. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, the interesting thing is that, you know, John Harbaugh being the coach would be an interesting how that plays into the selections.
Yeah.
My guess would be that they're going to take the wide receiver Tyson, and I would say they're going to take an offensive lineman. I could see them trading the 10th pick to move up or to move back.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I'm not a Giants fan. I hate the Giants, so I don't care what they do. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I'm hoping the Cowboys draft well. They've drafted well the last few years. They usually draft well. I'm not sure who they. I mean, obviously, I'd love to see them get Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles. I think both of those guys are incredible players on defense, which the Cowboys need defense, but I can also see them picking one of the good wide receivers. It'll be interesting to see who picks Jordan Love.
Yeah.
So, Gabriel, what team do you root for?
The only team that is running the West, the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, there you go. They don't.
No,
They
it's
don't
just
pick.
it's all banter, but the Rams have had our number every now and then, and Seattle definitely had our number for a couple of years when that Legion of Boomer, I guess it was what they called it.
Yeah.
I just had bad dreams of Seahawks all the time because of them. But you know, just like Nina has said, you know, there's been a couple worse times than good times. Obviously, you know, we get close to the Super Bowl and we choke and whatnot. But as far as the draft goes, I think for us, the draft started already a couple of weeks ago. I think they've made a lot of off-season moves already, but I'm not really selective on one or two players for this draft. I think, for me personally, I'm already satisfied with what they did already in these last weeks, re-signing people and getting the people that they got. I think that's going to really solidify, even though we got like Mike Evans. He's a veteran wide receiver. He's not like the youngest guy in the group, but, you know, I think he's going to add a lot to it. You know, we've had a lot of veterans that we've signed, like Randy Moss, for example, but, you know, and he did what he did. But it's always good to have a veteran. And yeah, I think the draft for us, in my opinion, started a couple weeks ago, and I'm happy with that. So.
Yeah, I would say the 49ers, they just got to get healthy. They always have too many injuries. Maybe it's because they practice next to a transformer and all that bad energy. I definitely, I don't care what the test says. If I'm a player, I ain't practicing anywhere near a transformer. Like,
how ironic is it
you go through the city of LA and you see where the transformers are. There's no house built next to the transformer. Like, it's all vacant land. Like, they don't build anything around those things. It's bad energy. I don't care what the report comes back. It's bad energy. They should tear that fucking, either take the transformer out and move it or move the practice field. It's bad juju. What about you, Juan? What's your team?
I will say the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams. The Rams are in really good shape. They have 2 first-round picks. They have they traded away, you know, for the player from Kansas City, but they still have they're in really good shape. That's all I can say. They're in really good shape. As long as Sam Bradford stays upright.
What's that guy's name? Puka.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all right. I went to like one game and so he was playing. He was pretty good.
Yeah, the Rams, the stealth thing for the Rams is they have a really good defense, especially defensive line. Really, really good. The 49ers do have their number. Liz, what about you? Are you a football fan? You like sports?
I mean, for such a long time, we didn't have a team, so I kind of just gave up on football. So I'm more of an actual baseball. So
Baseball's good. What
yeah,
what
so I don't
what
really,
team did
so I
you
don't follow football.
what team did you like before in football?
I actually like the Giants, but I think it's because I was dating a guy who liked the Giants, and I was like, well, let me just follow the Giants, and I just kind of like went with that. But I'm born and raised in LA, so nowhere New York.
Yeah, New York sucks.
You can say that. You can say that. It's totally fine.
Well, no, I mean I'm allowed to say that, and you're allowed to disagree with me. That's what makes our group so cool. Because I can say that, and you can say that LA sucks or the Cowboys suck and whatever. I don't take any offense.
They're all professional athletes. They get paid to play a game. None of them suck.
Well, no,
Except
I mean
maybe
it's
making decisions, right?
no, I mean to me, Shohei Ohtani is like we're spoiled being in LA and going to all these Dodger games, but man, you got to soak up Ohtani because he is a once in a lifetime. No one like last night, 6 innings, no walks, no runs, 7 strikeouts, unbelievable. Even though the Dodgers lost, but he is incredible, and I love watching him play. I like his approach, very humble, very hardworking. You know, he puts a lot of effort into everything. Like he's the best, and we're just. I'm going to soak up for as long as he plays in LA, because man, it's you're watching history. They'll be talking about him forever. How good
John,
he
real
is.
quick, I have a question to ask you in regards to this topic. You know, in every sport, we've had different eras where we're blessed to see one phenom. For soccer, it's arguably Lionel Messi. It's, you know, for football, you know, one could argue, but not because I'm a Niner fan, but you have, you know, your Jerry Rices and your Marshall Falks and whatnot. Just phenoms. And in baseball or basketball, you know, you have your GOAT topics,
Jordans.
Jordans and Kobe's and whatnot. So my question to you is, for baseball, would you say Ohtani is the Michael Jordan of baseball or a Kobe Bryant of baseball, or who would you say Ohtani is to
He's the
baseball?
Ohtani of baseball. I mean, I would say that he's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. That's how good he is. I think he's not. Basketball is a different game. They have different personality. You know, being from Japan, he's like I said, he's much more quiet, much more humble. But I would say Ohtani, to me right now, Ohtani is the best athlete in the world. And to be able to pitch as good as he pitches and to hit as good as he hits, and he's also steals bases, it's really remarkable because those skill sets are so different. And, you know, to be that good at it, he's like Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, all in one athlete, I would say, is what Ohtani is. And we're just lucky that he's here in LA because, like, when he was on the Angels, he was every bit as good, but no one paid attention because he was on the Angels. But now he's on the Dodgers and everybody pays attention. And just, it's remarkable how the Dodgers, I mean, their front office, I know some of those guys personally, how good a job they do. Like Yamamoto, again, just another just hardworking, humble, quiet guy, great approach, obviously got great talent, but maximizes all of his talent. Freddie Freeman is another guy, quiet guy, very hardworking guy. Mookie Betts. I mean, they seem to get these guys that have this certain mindset or this certain approach, and and I think, you know, character, if you want to call it that. But I having run professional teams and been involved in professional sports, everybody's, like Nina said, they're all talented. Like everybody's talented. And certainly there's a little bit varying degree of talent per se, but the thing that separates talent the most is right up here. How is their approach to life? How is their approach to the game? How hard are they willing to work? Are they going out partying and doing all these crazy things? Because if you look at any great athlete, whether it's Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Federer, the tennis player, any of these guys, the first thing they always talk about when they talk about like what makes you successful, they'll say the process of how they go about doing what they do. Everyone will talk about the process. You'll never hear anyone talk about outcomes. They'll talk about the process. And it's really remarkable being process oriented. And it's part of, it's in my app. And the reason it's in my app is for this reason. If you focus on process and you try to perfect the process and you do the process and you stick with the process, you will have more consistent high outcomes. If you focus on outcomes, you forget about what got those outcomes. You forget to do the steps that you did, and it's not repeatable. But to be at that high level, at the highest level consistently, you have to follow a process. And I think whether it's sports or life, or if you're a soldier or an engineer or whoever you are, following a process and sticking to the process, even when it doesn't give you the outcome you thought, is the only way you're going to be consistently successful in life. And that's, I firmly, stridently will go to my grave with that belief.
Yeah, that's a 100% true. When I first started my studies, like and there's been moments during my studies where I felt like, man, like maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was, or maybe, you know, this is harder than I thought it was. But I just kept rolling with the punches, and you know, it's. I don't think you ever get to a point where you say, "Oh, like I'm good now." And I think that's what these athletes do. That I don't think their mindset is like, "Oh, you know, now I'm this great athlete. I don't have to keep trying no more." I think
No,
they
you don't
just.
rest. Yeah, you don't rest on your laurels, and you can
Yeah.
adjust your process, right? You know, you don't have, if the process, if you start getting bad outcomes consistently, then maybe you got to adjust your process.
Yeah.
But sticking and being process oriented is the only way. And I mean, I'll just leave you with this one statistic because I love data. You know, that's why I created an app. So we did a pilot program with a active duty brigade at Fort Bragg. It was a field artillery brigade. They had just returned from deployment. They were teaching the Ukrainian military how to shoot howitzers. And so you had a lot of these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, privates in the Army. And they, when we got their scores, the kids that did the best also had the strongest mindset. And the kids that struggled the most had a horrible, or what we call adverse mindset. And the number one area, well, there are two areas that stood out the most for the people that were what we consider at risk. And that was mentorship and process versus outcome. Those two things mattered the most. And so I'll just leave it at that.
100%.
Mentorship and process, man. If you have those two things, you will have resilience. to make it a full circle discussion. Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. I'll just go around the horn real quick. You guys can say your final thoughts. Gabe, we'll start with you.
Well, this is something out of my routine, and I am grateful and glad that I took the liberty and chose to do this, because it's the first time that I've ever done this. And like Liz and Juan and and I think Nina as well said, it's very comforting to be able to step into a room or an atmosphere where you can speak and your language is going to be understood and interpreted by everybody in that room. There's no criticism or judgment, more so help rather than criticism. But yeah, I learned a lot from hearing each and every one of you say what you all said. Um, I like to listen. Nina, I think it was Nina. I think she said. I think it was Nina that said something about people listening or someone listening. And I had a good experience one time where I was expressing and venting some stuff, and the person on the other side was looking at me, but not with a face of criticism, more so interested and welcoming and listened. There's many types of listeners. There's listeners that will not say much, but with their face, they can they'll let you know that they're not really interested or they're just waiting for you to finish so they can go on with whatever they were doing or whatever. But then there's people that actually care and you can feel that. So one thing is speaking for me personally, one thing is me speaking, another thing is me listening and listening to each and every one of you say everything that you've said, whether it was big or small. For me, it was a huge plus, and it was time well spent for me because I think, like you said as well, John, time is everything. You can make tons of money, but what good is it if you're 90 years old and your health is deteriorating and you're about to die in 2 days? So health is wealth and time is everything. Time is the most precious, most expensive thing on the world, but some or most overlook that. And I myself, I'm 40. I may not look like it. Um, I rarely have facial hair, but I actually might shave today. I look like I'm 20 when I'm fully shaven, and I'm used to shaving because obviously because of the army. I'm always pretty much on army duty all the time. I'm always involved on some sort of military orders, but whenever I can grow out my facial hair, I do. But I feel like a civilian for once. But um, yeah, it's time is everything. Like I said, I'm 40, but I look like I'm 20. But on the inside, I tell myself, do I feel like I'm 40 or do I feel like I'm 20? So spiritually and mentally, I try to reel myself back in and you know do young fun things so I won't feel like I'm 40, 50, 60, and be like those people that can't even walk or and they're still young but they can't walk because they just ignored their health and they don't stretch or they didn't go out on walks and whatnot. But um no, I'm glad that I joined today, and I look forward to doing this often and listening to other folks um, give out data. Like you said, I'm fascinated with data as well, John. And listening is just like reading. It's just as powerful as reading. You're taking in data and information that you didn't have before, and you're immediately integrating that into whatever thought processes you had, whatever mindset you had, and you're reinventing yourself literally in that same moment. So I think for me, I've always been fascinated with listening to someone speak on something that I didn't know about. Um, and I'm not much of a reader, which I'd like to get back into, but to me, this was reading. Listening to all you guys was reading, and it's not only a very informative book, but it was, I take a lot from it. So I could say more, but I don't want to take the spotlight away.
You're all good. All
Thank you,
good.
thank you.
Nina, go ahead. You're up.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for having me and allowing me to participate. So it was great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We loved having you. Liz?
Hi, yeah, I just want to say thank you. Talking about resiliency. Obviously, I think that's what keeps us going. And then listening to Nina, the resiliency that the fire victims have had, I think that puts things into perspective. And reminds us that everyone has something going on. And I mean, having a home, we think we take it for granted. And then after someone's gone through what the victims of Altadena and Pacific Palisades have gone through, it just puts it into perspective.
Thanks. Juan?
Yeah, same. I'm really grateful for this space, and I agree also with some of what Gabriel said. This space is really great, and I also learning new things. I don't believe that there's ever a point where you're like, oh, I know I don't. If somebody says they know everything, they're lying. Because you don't. There's always something new to learn. And also like having to lean on, having other people to lean on, that's also really great. And this group, like John mentioned, we're open. There's no judgment here. Like you can bend, you can say what's on your mind. Just follow the 3 golden rules, and you're fine. And you'll definitely it'll definitely be a tool for your life.
No, it's awesome. And I would like to remind everybody who watches this, please make sure you like and subscribe. We get together every Thursday at high noon. And until next week, where hope springs eternal.
See you next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.